Welcome to this Tutor to You Sociology topic video on stratification and differentiation. In this video we're going to look at the work of Beverly Skeggs on class and gender. Beverly Skeggs' influential book Formations of Class and Gender, Becoming Respectable offers an in-depth exploration of how class and gender are constructed, experienced and reproduced amongst working class women in the United Kingdom. Skeggs uses a combination of ethnographic research, interviews and theoretical analysis to challenge traditional notions of respectability and to reveal the complex interplay between social class and gender. Skeggs' research is grounded in a longitudinal ethnographic study of working class women in the northwest of England. Conducted over a period of more than a decade, the study includes detailed interviews and observations that provide a rich understanding of the participants' lives. The methodology allowed Skeggs to capture the lived experiences and everyday practices that shaped the formation of class and gender identities. Central to Skeggs' research is the concept of respectability. She argued that respectability is a key mechanism through which class distinctions are produced and maintained. For working class women, striving for respectability involves conforming to certain moral and social standards that are often defined by middle class values. However, achieving respectability is fraught with tension and contradiction, as the markers of respectability are not easily accessible to those outside of the middle class. Skeggs illustrated how respectability is not just about personal behaviour, but is deeply connected to social judgments and institutional practices. Working class women are often judged and stigmatised based on their appearance, behaviour and lifestyle choices. These judgments serve to reinforce class boundaries and social inequalities. For example, Skeggs highlights how working class women are often perceived as lacking in taste and culture, which devalues their social identity and limits their opportunities for upward mobility. Skeggs also explored how the body is a central site for the construction of both class and gender identities. She discusses how working class women's bodies are often subjected to scrutiny and regulation, particularly in terms of appearance, dress, and deportment. The ideal of femininity that working class women are expected to embody is closely linked to notions of respectability and morality. For instance, Skeggs describes how practices such as grooming, dieting and dressing are ways through which working class women attempt to align themselves with respectable femininity. However, these practices are also sources of stress and anxiety, as the standards of respectable femininity are often unattainable and exclusionary. The body thus becomes a battleground where class and gender inequalities are enacted and reproduced. Drawing on the work of Pierre Bourdieu and social and cultural capital, Skeggs looked at how working class women navigated social structures that privileged middle class forms of capital. Skeggs analysed how working class women navigated social structures that privilege middle class forms of capital. Social capital is the networks and relationships that provide individuals with access to resources and opportunities, while cultural capital encompasses the knowledge, skills and cultural tastes that confer social advantage. Skeggs argued that working class women often lack access to forms of capital that are valued by dominant social institutions. This lack of capital limits their ability to achieve respectability and secure social mobility. For example, educational qualifications, professional credentials and cultural tastes that are valued by middle class society are often out of reach for working class women. As a result, they must find alternative ways to assert their identity and gain respect within their own communities. Despite the constraints imposed by class and gender structures, Skeggs emphasised the agency and resistance of working class women. She documented how these women actively negotiate their identities and resist dominant norms that devalue their social position. For instance, some women reject the pressure to conform to middle-class standards of respectability and, and instead embrace their working class identity with pride. Skeggs also highlighted the importance of community and solidarity among working class women. Shared experiences of marginalisation and exclusion fostered a sense of collective identity and support. Through mutual aid and collective action, working class women challenged stereotypes and inequalities that they faced. This resistance is not always overtly political, but can take the form of everyday practices and interactions that affirm their dignity and worth. A key strength of Skeggs' work is her attention to the intersections of class, gender, race, and sexuality. She acknowledges that the experiences of working class women are not homogeneous and are shaped by multiple and intersecting forms of oppression. For example, Skeggs discusses how race and ethnicity influence the ways in which respectability is constructed and perceived. Women of colour face additional layers of discrimination and stereotyping, which compound the challenges associated with class and gender. Similarly, Skeggs addresses how sexuality intersects with class and gender identities. Heteronormative expectations of femininity and respectability marginalise those who do not conform to traditional gender roles and sexual norms. Lesbian and bisexual women, for instance, navigate a complex terrain of visibility and invisibility within their communities and broader society. Skeggs' Formations of Class and Gender makes several important contributions to sociological theory and feminism. Firstly, it provides a detailed and empathetic account of the lived experiences of working class women, giving a voice to a group that is often marginalised in academic discourse. Secondly, it challenges reductionist and deterministic views of class and gender, highlighting the fluidity of these identities. Skeggs' work also underscores the importance of understanding respectability as a concept. By showing how respectability is implicated in the reproduction of social inequality, she calls for a critical examination of the values and norms that underpin class and gender hierarchies. And finally, her emphasis on resistance and agency offers a more nuanced and hopeful perspective on the possibilities for social change. That concludes this Tutor to You Sociology topic video, looking at stratification and differentiation, focusing on the work of Skeggs on class and gender. Thanks for watching.